For many of us, Roald Dahl is the household names for children's novels. I mean, we've grown up with his stories. Just to name a few: Matilda, BFG, Charlie's Chocolate Factory. But do you know he has a different side than his children-friendly persona? On this side, his imagination is much, much darker, twisted, gnarled, and there was no place where this is more obvious than the short stories he's written for adults. Hello everyone, welcome to Harry's Book Cafe. Today let's talk about Kiss Kiss by Roald Dahl. This is a short story collection containing 11 short stories. Roald Dahl is perhaps one of the most famous children's writers. He has produced so many novels for kids over his life. Very prolific writer as well. Many of his novels has been turned into movie adaptations and theatrical adaptations. Matilda is perhaps the latest one. You can watch it on Netflix. Kiss Kiss is a short story collection containing 11 short stories. The vast majority of them are very, very good, but there are also some really exceptional ones. So I'm not going to name every single one of them. I'm not going to review every single one of them. I will pick the 3 favorites and to go through them. I will not tell you the plot line, because the beauty of those stories really lies at the ending. So the 3 that I truly enjoyed are The Way Up to Heaven, Parsons Pleasure, and Mrs. Bixby and the Colonel's Coat. All those stories are fantastically well written, and as you read the stories you wonder, okay, where is this story going? All of them has an ending that will absolutely shock you to the core. Right, let's talk about Parsons Pleasure. So it involves of this antique furniture dealer who pretend to be a parson. He devised a particular conning scheme where during Sunday he would go out to the countryside and visiting farmhouses and pretending that he's someone, that he's a parson and he's a president of a sort of antique furniture preservation society that does not exist, and he has a card to present to the households to confirm such aspect. He was doing this in the hope of being invited into their houses. As he was invited into their houses, he can start looking at the furnitures and see if he can spot something that's valuable. The scheme was incredibly successful. He spotted so many early Victorian furnitures that's worth a lot of money, but because of the information disparities, he's an expert, the households might not be, he explored this information disparity, this gap, and he basically told them, look, I really want this for myself. It's nothing worth having in terms of antique value, but I have something similar and I need it to complete my set. So a furniture that might worth, say, £1,000, and we're talking about 1960s. I think those stories are written in 1970s, late 1960s. So £1,000 is quite a lot of money. But anyway, so furniture that might worth £1,000, he will just offer them somewhere around the region of £30 and £40, and just drive a very hard bargain and pretend that he's not interested and he's quite willing to walk away. So he would acquire something very, very valuable for 1/20th of its actual value. He would then ship this back to his shop in London and sell it at the actual market price, and he made tons of money. So this story is about him venture into a farm on a particular Sunday, and he discovered a truly, truly valuable, one-of-a-kind furniture that is worth at least £10,000, if not £20,000. And he was just absolutely shocked of seeing this particular furniture located in a pigsty almost. He has to deal with 3 ignoramuses. Those 3 are quite rough and ready characters. You know, they don't know anything at all about antique furnitures, but they have the cunning. So he took him, the parson, a lot of effort to convince the 3 characters that this particular wardrobe is worth nothing, but because he needs the legs and therefore he would like to purchase it In his mind, he has a calculation and he arrives at the conclusion that the wardrobe is easily 10,000-15,000 pounds. But he offered him 20 quid. Because those three characters are so cunning, and the parson had to really patronize the value of the wardrobe, and he's such a great actor that he actually convinced the three characters that he's quite willing to walk away. He managed to persuade them to sell them the wardrobe. I'm not going to tell you the ending because the ending is, is one of the best endings in the short story I have read ever. It is fantastic. The only thing that is even better than this one is Sammy Scott's Rebirth. I think that's the best short story, period. But this is can easily take second place, if not third. The next story that I really enjoyed is Mrs. Bixby and Colonel's Cult. So this story involves this woman, Mrs. Bixby, and she was having an affair with the Colonel. And once the Colonel had enough of her, he gave her a parting gift, and that parting gift is a very expensive mink coat. But she doesn't want her husband to become suspicious because the coat is so expensive, it's outside the financial means of the lady to actually buy it herself, and therefore it will be really easy for the husband to question where it's coming from. So in order to come up with a scheme, she was quite clever. She decided to put this coat with a pawnbroker. When she gave the coat to the pawnbroker, she refused to enter any of her details at all. All she wanted is half the ticket. So the other half of the ticket is hanging with the coat. She has the other half, and all she had to do is come back and claim the coat with that half ticket. The pawnbroker asked her repeatedly whether or not she wants to put detail, because he warned her that if she were to lose that ticket, anyone then can take that ticket and come to the pawnbroker and claim the coat. And she said she understood the risk, but she doesn't want to take anything. So she took that half ticket back to her husband, who was a dentist, and she pretended, "Oh look, husband, what I find on the train back home, I find this. Do you know what this is?" Her husband says, "Yeah, I know what that is. That's a pawnbroker's ticket." And they got intrigued. She said, "Okay, oh, that's fantastic. Let me go and claim it tomorrow." Right, so she literally sort of money launched or coat launched that coat and became a legitimate coat because she found a lost ticket. Very clever. But her husband got really intrigued and said, no, let me take it. Reluctantly, she let her husband do the collecting. So the next morning, her husband went there, collect the coat, and went back to his dentist practice. And she called him sort of midway. Says, "Husband, do you know what it is?" And the husband, "Oh, you're not going to believe what I collected. It's such a valuable item and it's for you. You're going to absolutely love it." And she was so excited. "Oh no, I can't wait. I'm going to come and have lunch with you in your practice and see what you have collected." I will end my review here for this particular story because any more will spoil the ending. So you really need to read this book. So this story, Colonel's Cult and Parsons Pleasure, are both focused on humans' great rapacious nature for material goods and how it went wrong. The next story focuses something a little bit more sinister. It has nothing to do with, our wants or needs or our rapacious nature. And that story is The Way Up to Heaven. So this story involves a woman who has a pathological fear of missing her trains, planes, etc., etc. She would start really have a physical reaction, stressed out of not catching her transportations. Her husband unkindly tried to explore this fear of her, trying to going out deliberately, slowly, and cutting it very, very fine just to watch her wife squeal. Not a very nice soul. So this story is about the woman finally persuaded her husband to let her go to Paris to see her daughter and her granddaughter. She finally persuaded her husband to let her go, and her husband just insisted unnecessarily to take her to the airport, to accompany her to the airport, and he deliberately, purposefully slowing down his pace, trying to make his wife really scared of missing the plane. She did miss it, but luckily for her, the weather was terrible and it was very foggy, so the plane was delayed until the next morning. Disappointed, but happy that she didn't miss the plane, she went back home. By the way, their property is a huge mansion where, all the servants and butlers are, you know, serving them. Plan was, while she was away, the husband can live in his club, so all the servants are moved out for the duration of a couple months. The next morning, the husband called a taxi, and instead of taking her to the airport, he told her that the taxi should drop him to the club first, then the taxi can take her to the airport. They are in a completely different direction, opposite direction. In fact, by doing that, she will for sure miss her plane. And even that, the husband was deliberately taking taking short steps and slowing down complete. The wife was like on her like completely going nuts in the fear of becoming late, and her husband is still just taking his time. Once he finally sat in the taxi, he said, "Oh, no, I have a gift for you, daughter." Oh, where is it? He just pretending to search. The lady says, "Look, you can just post it to us. You can just post it to us to Paris, okay? We're gonna miss the plane. We'll have to drop you at the club first. We're sure we're gonna miss the plane. Please don't go back. Look for this gift. Just mail it to us." He insisted deliberately, purposely, to go back to the house, make the taxi wait, and find the gift. As soon as it goes out, his wife going just about to burst into tears, and she realized that the gift, a little box, was left on the seat. In fact, it was between the cushions of the seat, stuffed in quite hard, quite deep, and she realized this could not be done without her husband doing it, deliberately pushing it hard down. She realized that her husband wanted her to miss the whole trip. So she went back the house and trying to get her husband to come with her and just go. But she stopped at the door and she heard something in the house, right? The servants all gone, by the way. She heard something in the house. There's a lift in the house. She heard something, and slowly she backed away from the door and just told the taxi driver to drive to the airport without her husband. She then spent, I think, a couple months in Paris, writing letters to her husband and saying, "Look, we had a great time, blah, blah, blah." Then she came back house. She knocked on the door. She opened the door, and I will end my review of this story here because, again, the ending is shocking. This is the darkest of the 3 stories I have told so far. And it's also my least favorite of my 3 favorites. Fantastic story. It does take a little bit of thinking after the end of the story to really come to a conclusion exactly what happened. It was deliberately ambiguous, the ending, but it's shocking. It's shocking. Once you get it, it's absolutely shocking. All 3 of them has amazing, shocking endings. The first 2, dealing with human greed, you can't help but to laugh out loud. You just can't help but to laugh at the bitterness of it all. It was simply fantastic. This one, not so quite, is much, much darker. That's the end of the review of the collection. As I said, I'm not going to go through every single one of them. The other ones, some of them are mediocre. There are 2 of them quite weird. The story called Pig is really, really weird. I did not get it. I did not like it. If you have read it, then put down, please, in the comment section. Let me know what you thoughts are, because I really thought Pig is such a weird story. I did not like it at all. Georgie Percy, involving about the priest, not the Parsons Pleasure. This is a different one. I really liked that one. That was quite a good one. But for most of them are really quite good. I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend this book. I think the stories are so well written and the endings are shocking. Even though not all of them are excellent, quite a few of them are mediocre, and a few of them are just downright weird. I still would recommend, just for the 3 favorites that I have listed in this review, you will not be disappointed. This is absolutely phenomenal story collections, and I would definitely read more Roald Dahl's short stories for adults because they are just so twisted. Highly recommend it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you will enjoy this video. If you do, please give it a thumb up, like and share. It really does help with a YouTuber like me to continue reading and continue to bring more books to your screen wherever you are in the world. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, cheerio.